Good morning, students. So today we are going to start with the industrial method for preparation of ammonia. In the last lecture, if you remember, we had done the lab method for the preparation of ammonia, and we had learned that ammonia is a basic compound, and this is a unique basic compound because this does not have OH ion. So in the industrial method, we'll be using nitrogen and hydrogen in the ratio of 1:3 for the preparation of ammonia. If you see the reaction given in your presentation, the equation says N2 plus 3H2 gives you 2NH3. But in between the reactants and product, you can see a double-headed arrow. That indicates the reaction is reversible. It's a combination as well as a decomposition reaction. Combination in the forward side and decomposition in the reverse side. To favor the forward reaction more, we have to alter some of the conditions of the reaction so that rate of forward reaction is more than the rate of backward reaction, so that we can obtain ammonia from the reaction mixture. Now please remember three things. The equation shows that a reaction is reversible. Formation of ammonia is exothermic, that means heat is given out. Formation of ammonia is accompanied by decrease in volume because it undergoes decomposition also. Now, what are the favorable conditions for the formation of ammonia? First thing is temperature. As the formation of ammonia takes place with evolution of heat, a low temperature favors the formation of ammonia. But if the temperature is kept low, the rate of reaction is also slow. Therefore, the temperature is maintained between 450 degrees Celsius to 550 degrees Celsius. While writing the equation or chemical equation for this particular preparation, you have to mention this temperature on the arrow. That is 400 to 500 degrees Celsius. The reaction equation also shows that 4 volumes of nitrogen and hydrogen combine to form 2 volumes of ammonia. Now, what do I mean by 4 volumes and 2 volumes? See, 1 volume of nitrogen combines with 3 volume of hydrogen. As we have taken one molecule of nitrogen and 3 molecules of hydrogen. So we'll call it as 1 volume for nitrogen and 3 volumes for hydrogen. You can see 2NH3, that means 2 volume of ammonia is formed. So 4 volumes of reactant combine to give me 2 volumes of product. Therefore, to get high yield of ammonia, the reaction should be carried out at high pressure. Therefore, the pressure of 200 atmosphere is maintained to get high yield of ammonia. Now, in this particular reaction, finally divided iron mixed with molybdenum is used as a catalyst and promoter respectively. Now here iron will act as a catalyst and molybdenum will act as a promoter. Now please remember guys, we have learned the definition of catalyst in 8th and 9th standard. Catalyst is a substance which enhances the rate of reaction, whereas promoter enhances the activity of the catalyst. So here promoter uses molybdenum as it increases the efficiency of iron. Now instead of iron, if you want, you can use iron oxide as a catalyst. It is mixed with potassium oxide and aluminum oxide. These substances act as promoter. Now let's see the process, because as I told you in the beginning of the study of compound lesson that there are several questions asked diagrammatically in this part. They'll give a diagram, they may ask you to label the diagram, first question for 1 mark, then they may ask you the chemical equation for the preparation of the compound. Then they may ask you the different conditions, like they may ask you what is the minimum temperature and pressure maintained in this reaction. Name the catalyst and promoter used in the reaction. By which method is the gas collected. So here you can see in the diagram, we have manufacture of ammonia by Haber's process. One thing I missed out in the beginning, the industrial method of preparation of ammonia is called as Haber's process. Now, in Haber's process, the first chamber, if you can see, it is called as compressor. Here, through the inlet pipe, hydrogen and nitrogen in the ratio of 1 is to 3, that is 1 volume of nitrogen and 3 volume of hydrogen are passed and compressed under a pressure of 200 atmosphere. Once both the gases are compressed, it is passed to the second chamber, which is electrically heated catalyst chamber containing catalyst. All right. And before undergoing the catalytic reduction, it is purified and dried. Because please remember, ammonia is highly soluble in water. So the gases which we are using, that is nitrogen and hydrogen, should be completely dried. Now this dried gas is passed through a catalytic chamber. In catalytic chamber, we have iron and molybdenum. Now please remember, iron acts as a catalyst and molybdenum acts as a promoter. And the temperature in the chamber is maintained at 500 degrees Celsius, 450 to 500 degrees Celsius. Nitrogen and hydrogen will combine here to form ammonia. The mixture of ammonia formed and the unreacted hydrogen and nitrogen exchange the heat evolved in the formation of ammonia with the un- with the incoming unreacted hydrogen and nitrogen as shown in figure. Now whatever ammonia is formed will be passed in this chamber. As it is compressed under high pressure, therefore it gets liquefied. Please remember in 8th standard also and 9th standard also we have done there are two methods of converting a gas into liquid. One is by condensation, that is by lowering the temperature. A second one is by increasing the pressure. When you increase the pressure to convert a gas into liquid, the method is known as liquefaction. The liquid ammonia is passed out through this outlet pipe. Whatever nitrogen and hydrogen are left unreacted passes through this pipe and goes back to the catalytic chamber. You can clearly see whatever nitrogen and hydrogen are left behind here will go through this pipe and is pumped back into the catalytic chamber where they can react again and form ammonia. The hot mixture of the outgoing gases contains about 15% ammonia gas. The mixture is now led to a condenser fitted with cooling pipes. Ammonia liquefies, whereas hydrogen and nitrogen do not. So I believe, guys, that your concept is clear with the laboratory method of preparation. You can see the flow chart. This flow chart may also be asked in the examination. Here you can clearly see nitrogen, hydrogen. Please remember the ratio: 1 volume for nitrogen and 3 volumes for hydrogen. Goes into the compressor where nitrogen and hydrogen are compressed, dried and purified, then sent to the catalytic chamber where heat exchange between the ammonia formed and nitrogen and hydrogen takes place. Then it is condensed at high pressure, approximately 200 atmosphere, where the ammonia is liquefied and taken out. Whatever nitrogen and hydrogen remains unreacted is passed to the pump back into the catalytic chamber where they can react again. So this is the flow chart. Either they may give you the diagram for the Haber's process or they may give you this flow chart to complete. Please revise and please practice these questions once at least before you proceed ahead with the further studies. Please remember important key points here. The reaction is N2 plus 3H2 gives you 2NH3. It's a reversible reaction. You have to draw a double-headed arrow. On the arrow, you have to write down 450 to 500 degrees Celsius temperatures maintained for the forward reaction to be favored. A pressure of 200 atmosphere is supplied for liquefaction of ammonia. Iron is used as a catalyst and molybdenum is used as a promoter. Now, let's see some of the physical properties of ammonia. In physical properties, try to remember the solubility part. Try to remember the condensation point and the boiling point because those are used. Now, here you can see ammonia is colorless gas with a characteristic pungent smell. Again, if you want to test ammonia, if you remember the last lesson, last part of the lecture, I taught you the test for hydrogen chloride gas or hydrochloric acid. When you were testing hydrogen chloride gas, you brought a glass rod dipped in ammonia near the gas jar containing HCl. You could see a dense white fumes. Those dense white fumes were of NH4Cl. Now you can use the same test. That is, if you have to test ammonia gas, bring a glass rod dipped in HCl. They will react and form ammonium chloride. Again, the white dense fume. The same test is used for the identification of HCl. At the same time, it can be used for the identification of ammonia. If you want to test ammonia, you have to bring a glass rod dipped in HCl. If you want to test HCl, you have to bring a glass rod dipped in ammonia. How can we come to know that which uh, substance should we dip the glass rod in? First, try to do the basic test for identification whether it is an acidic compound or a basic compound. If suppose red litmus turns blue, that means it is ammonia because ammonia is basic in nature, and in basic solution, red litmus turns blue. If the blue litmus turns red, it is hydrogen chloride gas because blue litmus turns red in acidic solution. Second thing is vapor density. Ammonia is lighter than air. Its vapor density is 8.5 as compared to 14.4 of air. Ammonia is non-combustible and non-supporter of combustion. A burning splinter will extinguish in a jar of ammonia. Liquefaction. Ammonia can be easily liquefied at ordinary temperature by applying liquefaction. Ammonia can be easily liquefied at ordinary temperature by applying 7 atmosphere pressure into a colorless liquid. But please remember, we are using 200 atmosphere pressure for liquefaction of ammonia. As the reaction is reversible in nature, therefore we have to use a high pressure. Boiling point and melting point. The boiling point of liquid ammonia is minus 33.5 degrees Celsius and the melting point is minus 78 degrees Celsius. Therefore, in your laboratory, if you see ammonia is present in the liquid state. Ammonia is highly solid water, as I told you in the previous lecture also. One volume of water dissolves 700 volumes of ammonia at 20 degrees Celsius and 1 atmosphere. This 20 degrees Celsius and 1 atmosphere is considered as a general temperature of the lab. Solubility increases with increase in pressure. More the pressure, more will be the solubility. Therefore, neither ammonia nor HCl is collected over water. And those who didn't understand what is 1 volume and 700 volume, you can simply understand 1 liter of water can dissolve 700 liters of ammonia gas. Now let's check one activity, that is fountain experiment. Again, we had done this in your HCl part, if you remember. Now in the fountain experiment, you take a round bottom flask, clamp it in an inverted position, place a rubber cork here, you will place a dropper here, a jet pump. In the beaker, you will take red litmus solution. As in the gas jar, you have ammonia gas. Once you put in 2 or 3 drops of water, the ammonia gas, approximately if you are putting like 2 drops of water, 1400 drops of ammonia gas will dissolve in it. Therefore, it will lead to the decrease in pressure inside the round bottom flask, due to which this red litmus solution rises up in the inverted round bottom flask. Once it starts coming out as a jet inside the inverted round bottom flask, the color of the litmus changes from red to blue. This indicates two things. First thing is ammonia is basic in nature because here red solution or red litmus solution turns blue. Second thing is ammonia is highly solid in water because you just dropped in 2 or 3 drops of water and the gas was dissolved in water, due to which the pressure decreased. Now you can see here the procedure written. A round bottom flask is filled with ammonia gas. The flask is fitted with a stopper with two holes, one for a jet tube and the other for dropper containing water. A trough containing red litmus solution is placed as shown in figure 9.5. The dropper containing water is squeezed. Your observation: as water enters the flask, ammonia gas present in the flask quickly dissolves, creating partial vacuum in the flask. Therefore, water containing red litmus solution gushes into the flask through the jet tube, creating a fountain of blue color. Now, here it is highlighted: ammonia being basic turns red litmus solution blue. Now, what is the conclusion? Ammonia is highly soluble in water. And second conclusion is ammonia is basic in nature. The last part for today, that is physiological action. Ammonia brings tears to eyes because it has strong pungent smell. It is powerful heart stimulant and may cause death if inhaled in large quantities. Saturated solution of ammonia is toxic and corrosive to skin. Toxic means it's poisonous, and corrosive means it produces scars on your body if it is in the pure state. Now, please remember, ammonia itself is a good solvent. Liquid ammonia dissolves metal like sodium, potassium, and barium. The dilute solution have bright blue color. So, guys, today we have done a very important concept of Haber's process. Please practice as a homework. Please practice the equation. Please practice the flowchart, this flowchart which we have discussed, as well as please practice the leveling of this diagram. Below the diagram, when you are practicing a diagram, please write down the essential conditions: in which chamber, what reaction is taking place, what changes are taking place. Because they will not ask you a long question from this part. They will go ahead and either give this diagram and ask you 4 or 5 questions with one line or 2 line answers. They may ask you questions on the conditions, like why is the pressure maintained above 200 atmosphere? What is the ratio of the reacting mixture? Why is the molybdenum used in this reaction? These type of questions may be asked. They may ask you, apart from iron, which catalyst can we use? You can directly say iron oxide mixed with potassium oxide can be used. Aluminum oxide mixed with potassium oxide, iron oxide can be used. So these are the other catalysts which can be used in place of iron and molybdenum. They can ask you what is the importance of promoter, or why do you use molybdenum as a promoter here? Because promoter increases the efficiency of the reaction. Now, guys, next time in the next lecture, I'm going to go ahead and complete the chemical properties of ammonia. Again, rediscuss the test for ammonia. I would request, once I complete study of compounds and organic chemistry, prepare a assignment in which you take all the tests. What do I mean all the tests? Like test for HCl. Below that, write down test for ammonia. Below that, write down test for sulfuric acid. Below that, write down test for nitric acid. And in organic chemistry also, you have 4 or 5 compounds. Those tests you have to add it there. Because every year, from my experience, I have observed that there's a 2 mark question in the examination, board examination, based on test. And that is the at least 2 marks question. So my intention always there is to help you out to understand what to study and how to study and what is more important for you. Thank you, guys. I hope that everyone is maintaining social distancing, staying at home, staying safe, helping their parents, and are trying to study at their best. So we'll meet you next time. Till then, goodbye.